Yep. This is
Did
like a
not
conversation I've had with my girlfriend quite often, back and forth. Is that when people are innocent and they're calm and they have no suspicions of doing something bad, they tend to give very short, mostly concise answers. Where are you doing? Where have you been? Where are you going? How do you know them? Do you know where they may be? You know, you'll give very simple, no, I'm not sure. I knew them for a while. We knew each other from work, maybe 6 months. But then someone who has a conscience and has done something wrong tends to give these very long, elaborate stories. This isn't always the case, but generally that tends to be that you're trying to convince the person you're speaking to of your innocence. They're not saying you're guilty; they're innocent. But the truth is, you try and overly explain to prove how innocent you are, and it makes you look guilty. You are basically giving yourself enough rope to hang you themselves. That can't relate, don't have a girlfriend. One day, my dude, one day. I can't believe this. I'm just able to go for Unite the Kingdoms immediately? Have I broken something? It feels too easy. Is the kid any good? You know, like you have the option to do a wedding, don't you? Does it do anything good? I don't know.
Violate any of Mr. Transparency's rights, but that was likely due to Mr. Transparency's.
I'd rumbled you the anxiety of the situation. I think the different would be, Best Man, is that if you were guilty, you probably would say more than you would normally say.
Refusal to allow him to
Will
do
you
so.
marry me?
And
Yeah, why not?
job of declining Transparency's channel your support.
Oh, he gives an A. He gets an A. It's one of those. I can't remember the name of the channel, but it's one of those channels where they interview murderers and whatnot. I'll see if I can find one of them. I've been watching them a lot recently, and they're so good. They break down the psychology of like a murderer and the police interviews and the tactics that police use. Oh, they're so good. So good. JCS is one of them. JCS. YouTube. Here we go. Criminal psychology. Oh, here we go. BuzzFeed game. Yeah, why not? From with BuzzFeed. I believe in free speech, liberty, and free media. You clearly are a fascist. Get out of my chat. Get out of there. Which one should we watch? Try to think of a good one, actually. The one that kind of illustrates. I watched this one yesterday with my girlfriend, and it was actually really interesting. Should we watch this one again? If I want to watch the same one again, though.
On the 2nd of August, 2017, at approximately 5:15 p.m., 21-year-old Savannah Gold left her parents' home and drove to San Jose Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida. She had a 5:30 shift at the Bonefish Grill, a casual seafood restaurant where she worked as a waitress. But on this occasion...
There's a way that I've watched Destiny before, and he managed to get the YouTube video as like an embed that goes in the top corner of the screen. How does he actually do that? How does he do that? I don't even know how he does it. Display capture, then I don't know how he does it. Oh my god, I'm confusing myself. Oh, my eyes. Does something like this and sticks it in the top right, something like that. But then I change monitors and it flips around. Oh my god. How does he actually do that? I don't even know how he does it. Is it going to be program? So it's not window capture. Maybe it's window capture? Oh my god. Oh, my brain is hurting. Oh. Just 1 second, guys. I'll figure this out. Is that good? Oh, you guys are going to complain you can't see it now.
She never showed up. It was a fairly quiet Wednesday afternoon at the diner. Her absence wasn't too much of a strain, so the on-duty supervisor simply took her hours off the roster for that day and thought nothing else of it.
Oh my god, I'm a big streamer now.
Only arose roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes after Savannah had left the house, as her father received a text message from her phone number.
You know, just a second. Just pause for a moment. I feel like I actually get more views when I'm just talking about stuff and watching food videos and stuff than actually playing Hoi 4, even though I'm known for Hoi 4. I thought that was a weird thing. Oh, these text messages are really weird.
Savannah's older brother also received a text 43 seconds later. Although both texts came from Savannah's number, her family knew right away that something wasn't right. She had just left the house in what appeared to be very high spirits, but now proclaimed to be running away with an unidentified man without packing so much as a change of clothes. Not only that,
I was always a big
streamer.
streamer. No, I
with
wasn't.
Errors
Don't be silly.
Composed in a completely different way to how she would normally write. Her phone was switched off when they tried calling just minutes after receiving.
Oh, look at this.
Look at this. Look at this.
I really don't feel like I've grown much. I really don't feel like I feel like I should have gained more factories for that. Does anyone feel the same way? Just say yes. Oh wow, it's decent division too.
Receiving the texts, so they immediately called her place of work and found out that she hadn't shown up. It was at that point they called police and filed a missing persons report. Savannah had been gone for less than 2 hours. Roughly 40 minutes later, her car was found unlocked and abandoned in the Bonefish Grill parking lot, and the only thing missing was her phone. Her wallet, ID, and a number of other valuable items had not been taken. Investigators went through the parking lot surveillance tapes and discovered what would then become the primary piece of evidence for the case. The majority of footage remains undisclosed to the public, but a detailed description of what occurred has already been released. What we know is that Savannah parked her car and stepped out of the vehicle at exactly 5:31 p.m. She then walked over to another vehicle and conversed with the occupant for 14 minutes through the driver's side window. She then got into the back seat of said vehicle at 5:45 p.m. 14 seconds later, the car began to shake sporadically as if some type of struggle was occurring inside. The rear door swung open 3 times, but was immediately and forcefully shut each time. It appeared as though someone was attempting to get out, but couldn't. This lasted for 49 seconds until the vehicle suddenly stopped moving. A male figure was then seen getting out and proceeded to walk over to Savannah's car that was 20 feet
Count the pixels.
away. The surveillance was grainy, and the person could not be identified from the footage alone. All that police could ascertain was that he had short brown hair and was roughly 5'11". The unidentified person reached into Savannah's car and took out what police believed was her phone. He then slashed the front tire with a knife before walking back to his own vehicle. He got in and drove away from the scene at exactly 6:04 p.m. Savannah was never seen exiting the car. This was a crucial piece of evidence, and essentially all investigators had to go on. They had to find out who the man was in the video, and fast. But they also had to be careful in how they conducted their investigation. They couldn't let anyone find out they had this footage in their possession, as knowing this information could allow a suspect to alter their alibi to fit with the evidence. This would take a significant advantage away from investigators
Bigfoot footage, yeah.
and would hinder their ability to build a case to a considerable degree. Over the following 2 days, investigators briefly interviewed all the staff at the Bonefish Grill. For the most part, these encounters consisted of just 3 questions. When was the last time you saw Savannah? Do you know where she is? And is there anything you know that could help with our investigation? Within 48 hours, they had 3 potential suspects, whose names were then ran through the motor insurance database. The first suspect didn't have a license. The second suspect owned a bright red 2001 Jeep Cherokee, while the third suspect was registered to a 2012 silver...
The minute I sent that submarine out, it instantly got completely decimated. What did it do? Did it try and go aground?
Chevy Malibu, an identical match to the vehicle
Tore a
seen on
massive hole in the
surveillance.
hull.
His name was Rodarte. He was 28 years old and was both the manager and head chef at the Bonefish Grill. Coincidentally, he was the first person to be interviewed at the diner about Savannah's disappearance, where he told investigators that he hadn't seen her in about 3 weeks and knew nothing of her current whereabouts. It was only from his co-workers that police discovered he was having an on and off relationship with Savannah for the last 8 months, despite it being against
All
company
aboard the
policy.
relationship.
From what investigators could gather, this was a very popular individual, rising fast through the ranks of his chosen profession. He was known for his charm and charisma amongst his colleagues, and also had a lot of success when it came to the opposite sex. On all accounts, his life seemed to be going very well, but he was now the prime suspect in a kidnapping investigation, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office planned their next steps in meticulous detail.
I'm not sure if I could prove of the hat.
Detail. At around 5:15 p.m. on August 5th, police arrested Rodarte while midway through his shift at work. They told him it was for an outstanding traffic warrant and took him to the JSO police department.
Can you do me a favor? I'm gonna have you take that apron off too, just to kind of get it right there. I'll say right out here. You can go ahead and have a seat for me real quick. I'll be.
Okay. Oh my god, we got picture in picture in picture on a stream. We're going super picture mode here, guys. This first bit is so big. To be honest with you, a lot of this video is kind of boring. It's 40 minutes of just jabbering, but
Be right back, okay?
this first bit is really, really good. So watch.
The officer said he would be right back, yet Lee was left to sit there for 90 minutes with nothing but his own
90
thoughts
minutes,
to keep him
holy
company.
shit.
Now, think of yourself in his position, and presume you were guilty of whatever happened to Savannah, and that whatever happened was something truly horrific. In the present moment, you have just been arrested for an outstanding traffic warrant, yet you were interviewed the day before about your co-worker's disappearance. 1,000,001 things will be running through your mind about what could happen next, and as each second ticks by, the anxiety this will cause will begin to fester and slowly intensify. However, the optimism of uncertainty would still be.
So look, if you can see here, the interrogators intentionally leave you stewing on your thoughts for a long period to try and make you mentally break down before they start their barrage of questions.
Be present. There would still be hope, but this hope is about to be dashed. The sound of the door opening would have been a pleasant relief from the monotonous cycle of Rodarte's own thoughts, yet this brief moment of alleviation would have instantly converted to shock as Detective Ray Reeves walked through the
I'm confused. 17 steel I'm behind. There's only 3 there. There's 2 there. Oh, it's all in the subs. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. It's the subs. All right. Okay. Yes, the subs. It was the subs. Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Okay.
door, the same investigator who had interviewed him about Savannah the day prior.
Hey, good. You remember me from the other day, Detective Reeves? Okay.
It would have been
Steal
at this
my
moment
steel,
that
yeah.
Lee realized his situation was far more severe than he was hoping. The relative optimism he would have felt during the initial 90 minutes on his own will now be gone, which in turn will greatly magnify the contrasting sense of fear he will now be experiencing.
This is my partner, Detective Saley. She was interviewing some of the other folks, waiters and other staff people the other day, so she didn't get a chance to come in at the time. I wanted to talk to you, or actually we wanted to. You want some more water?
Please. Actually, would it be alright to use the restroom one more time?
Yeah.
Please?
Come on, you bet.
Oh, isn't
Come on,
that
family.
nice? The interrogator is so kind, he lets him use the toilet. You know what I would have done? I would have been a right dick. I would have been like, nope. Sit on that wee. Have a think about it. You know? Good think. Have a really good think.
Please. Okay, be alright.
Water.
Technically, they wouldn't be allowed to do that, would they? Deny him ability to, like, food, water, and ability to use a toilet, because that'd be classed as torture, wouldn't it? And let's just say the police did use those tactics to get a confession out of someone. When it went to court, he could argue for a reduced sentence because the police did not follow the correct protocol, which I have known that as well. Like someone, I wish I could think of the example, but I know there was an instance where a man was a murderer and they found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he was put on death row. They were going to kill him, capital punishment. But they found out there was some evidence used in the court case that shouldn't have been addressed and brought up. I can't remember what it was now. If it comes back to me, I'll see if I can find it. And because of that misuse of evidence in the case, they managed to get his sentence reduced from capital punishment murder, death sentence, down to life sentence in prison. The police have got a really hard job here. They have to make sure that they follow the correct protocols, but use every tactic under the sun to make the people speak and give as much evidence as possible. It would force a retrial? Oh my god, I thought it would just change the sentence. I don't think it would create a whole new. Well, there you go, guys. The lawful ability to demand a P when you need it. Jingoism.
Like I said, I want to kind of.
Should we go jingoism?
We talked the other day just for a few minutes, and I had some concerns about a couple things. And oh, okay, well, there we go.
I like the concept of jingoism. When I first discovered it in Victoria too, I thought the concept was quite interesting. It's very 1984. The idea that your country should always be ready for war, and there's imminent threats around the world that is questioning the authority of your state. I think the concept of it is quite scary and also kind of like fascinating at the same time. I don't know, I like that.
There we go. I wanted to talk to you about Savannah. So I just had a couple of things that came up that I wanted to ask you about specifically. That didn't,
Cold War vibes,
didn't
exactly.
seem to line
Yeah,
up, so I wanted
exactly.
to come down and talk to you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you drank any alcohol today? Any drugs today?
I took an Adderall that my buddy gave me
Okay.
because I was there so late last night. I
Yeah,
came
yeah.
in and was super tired. Like, here, take this.
Okay. Adderall.
Yeah.
And do you normally take that?
No, I was. I've taken one a long time ago. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't say high school. A little bit after high school, but it's been years.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I appreciate that. All right. So, Savannah, you said that you knew
Adderall.
her and you guys had, you knew her from work. I mean, just kind of fill me in with that. How long have you known her?
Like I said,
The detective starts off with an open-ended question. This gives the suspect
How
total
can you get
freedom
me
and
mixed with
flexibility
ISP?
in how they wish to respond. It's commonly believed that people with nothing to hide are likely to give a short and
Here we go. This is the sweet spot, boys.
concise response to these types of questions. For example, if Lee was completely unconcerned with what was going on, he could respond in 3 short sentences. I met her from work. I've known her for 2 years. We dated for a bit. To the contrary, if an individual does have something to hide, they are more likely to give a lengthy and detailed response. The simple reasoning behind this is that they are seeking approval. Imagine yourself in a job interview and you're asked an open-ended question, such as, "Tell me about yourself." You would feel the need to be thorough in order to please your potential employer. The psychological premise is exactly the same with regard to police interrogations, albeit under completely different circumstances. Guilty subjects will see the interrogator as an imminent threat, and will therefore attempt to appease this threat to prevent further aggression. Truthful subjects will
Oh man, I could talk about job interviews as well. Oh man. I'm
have
so
no fear-
thankful I'm in the job that I'm in right now because my goodness, I was terrible. Absolutely dreadful at job interviews.
nor concern with regard to the same element. They would see the interrogator as a mere inconvenience as opposed to a threat.
I've known her obviously since she started working there. I would say probably about 8 months ago
Yeah.
or so, we started hanging out outside of work. And at the time, I had a girlfriend.
What?
But I kind of, we kind of.
He was cheating on his girlfriend?
So we hung out a little bit here and there.
Guilty.
Got pretty close. We come from, I guess, somewhat similar backgrounds, I guess you should say.
More steel, Dave. Oh yeah.
She didn't have it the best.
Oh, wow, I need
growing
way
up
more
with
steel.
the guy. So we kind of.
Oh, it's 'cause I'm free trading it now, aren't I?
While, and then she started using drugs a lot.
Okay.
Now, I used them with her, not the same drugs that she used all the time, but I did them with her a couple times. and
Oh
then she
man,
started
max
to get
stability is so strong.
heavy
It's
into
a shame I
it.
can't go for atheism because
that's-
atheism's really strong
so
too.
I kind of just tried to take a step back, and
Question: would this change me fascist if I go for this? Because it says Prince Paul becomes part of the fascist party. Does that mean because I've got Prince Paul that makes me fascist?
Put things off. Probably a month or so ago. I saw Savannah at work, and she looked healthy again. You know, she gained a little bit of weight, and just, you know, friendly talk at work, you know, telling her, you know, hope everything's been good. And she told me, you know, that I guess she did a lot of drugs and ended up in the hospital. She ended up missing, like, I want to say a couple
One thing
days,
I want to
3 or 4 days
say
from work.
is
Oh, okay.
ticking
So obviously,
stability
you know,
is very
me
strong.
being pretty close to her, I was concerned and everything. But after she came back,
This one
you
is
know, she
very
looked
strong.
good. She
Limited
ended up telling me that
ticking
I guess,
stability and ticking war
you know,
support.
over those 4
So
days, she
strong.
detoxed pretty well, and she kind of caught a, you know,
I'm guaranteed by
new
the French.
sense into why she shouldn't do so drugs so
Good for her.
so much.
Okay.
And like I said, she looked good. You know, she started looking healthy. So we kind of were talking, you know, here and there. We hung out a couple times. She came over to the house, and you know, we just kicked back, drink a couple beers, watch movies, stuff like that. Like I said, we did, you know, we took like some pain pills here and there on occasion. But then she started like bringing heroin over and stuff like that. And that's, you know, my mom was addicted to methamphetamines when she was when I was younger. So those hard drugs just kind of scare me a little bit. So that's why I took a step back the first time. I ended up telling her, I was like, hey, you know, for one, I'm dealing with a lot of personal stuff myself right now as it is. You know, I'm a little depressed. But I think we're moving too fast. I think we should, you know, stop talking. And she said,
Well, anyway, I feel like I'm not as connected to this as I thought I was. But the truth behind it is he's giving, look at his answer. It's 5 minutes long. He asked him such a simple question. Like, what did he ask him again? Something like, where is Savannah? Do you know where Savannah is?
Mere inconvenience.
affected me into
You knew her from work. I mean, just kind of fill me in with that. How long have you known her?
like I said,
How long have you known her? And his answer is 5 minutes long.
Messenger or any?
I think that's the only thing to remember. If you are going to lie, guys, God, I shouldn't really be teaching you guys how to lie. I suppose there's some lies that are okay. I think short, concise lies. I think white lies are okay, but then lies that can really affect people are really something you shouldn't be doing. But the truth is, if you're going to lie, give short, concise answers, because long ones just don't work. It makes you look guilty. Anyway, he later on confesses, but what's really sad about this video is the confession is chopped out. I don't know why. There's a suggestion in the comments that the confession was removed from the police interrogation because the police were lying to him to get him to confess. And it looks bad for him for the court case. That's why it was snipped out. The TLDR, which is really, really bad. I'm going to give you the long story short here. What video is this? I'll link it in the chat. He killed her. Apparently, she was going to confess to the job because they weren't meant to be dating. You're not meant to date colleagues. So they got into a struggle in the car. He strangled her or killed her somehow. They don't know because he ended up taking her body back home and burning her body. So they couldn't tell from the body that was burnt, like where the actual injuries that caused her death from. And he got sentenced for life. There you go. Boom. And that is how you destroy your life. I think now he's thinking to himself, oh, well, I guess I would have been better just to lose my job as a chef, right? Would have been easy just to lose your job as a chef than have to deal with life in prison and killing someone. Just stay silent. Did you know her? Feedback. I didn't kill her. Look. Was it worth it? What's actually interesting is watching his reaction after he confessed.
The instant anguish over his decision to confess, combined with the looming prospect of what lays ahead, will have forged a unique emotional distress that very few will ever experience. It's a harrowing sight, and under different circumstances would be extremely difficult for most people to witness. Yet we are now couched within the context of events that
Oh. Oh no.
You think about it, he was brought in, arrested for an outstanding traffic warrant or whatever, and then within how long did it take? 3 hours. He fully confessed to murdering someone. So it's like the turnaround. Then his head is spinning from the thought of that. I don't know. I think it's really fascinating, this kind of stuff. I don't know. It really, really does fascinate me. Anywho,